All right, good afternoon, class. This is page 97 in your module. I know there's something that you guys were supposed to do. So I want to go over it because you guys will have a quiz on this tomorrow, on Friday, on converting decimals and fractions. So I want to make sure just to go over it some more so you guys hopefully fully understand it. And those of you guys who did not do it, this will be a chance for you guys to do it and copy it down and get some points. If you did do it already, good job, and you can maybe check some of your work and just make sure you fully understand it so you could ace that quiz. All right, so again, this is page 95 or 97, I think. Okay, so the first section is just convert each terminating decimal to a fraction in simplest form. So remember, terminating decimal is just a decimal that doesn't repeat. So all these decimals don't repeat. So to turn a decimal into a fraction, pretty much whatever's after the decimal, right? Remember, it's a 4. Put that on top. And then the bottom, it's two ways to think about it. I'm going to go over the two different ways you could think about it. You look at where does this end? What's the final number? That's the tenths place, right? Remember, it goes tenths, hundredths, let me see. Tenths, hundredths, thousands, and then so on. Let me do one more. After thousands would be 10,000s, right? So here, since it ends in the tenths place, that's one number after the decimal. That means you put a 10 on the bottom. Simple as that. Another way you could think of it is that how many digits are after the decimal? It's just one digit, right? One number. So that means you're going to put a 1 with 1 0 on the bottom. Two different ways to think about it. If you remember both ways, it was good. That's really good. If you remember just one method to help you get the right answer, that's okay also. You only need one method to get the answer to this problem. But let's say if you did put that on your quiz, you would not get full credit. Because right here it says put the fraction in simplest form. That means you got to simplify it. Look at the 4. Oops, I forgot. Something happened to 0. Okay. So you want to figure out what number can go into 4 and 10. 2 can go into 4 and 10, so you're going to divide top and bottom by 2. And you get 2 over 5, or 2/5. That's your final answer. Second one. Right here, you put whatever comes after the decimal, you just put that on top, right? 16. And then on bottom, what place value does it end in? The 1 is a tenths, right? And then 6 would be the hundredths, so you put it over 100. Or again, another way to think about it is you put a 1. How many digits are after the decimal? Just 2 digits, right? 2 numbers. So you put 2 zeros. Both ways to think about it will get you the same answer. From here, you could simplify a couple different ways. Some guys might divide by 2, but then you have to divide again. Right here, the biggest number that can go in both of them is 4. Divide top and bottom by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And then if you divide by 2, you get 8 over 50. But then that's not fully simplified. It's not the simplest form. So you have to keep going until you get this right here. So real quick. C6, you put 625 on top. How many digits are after the decimal? 3, right? So you can put a 1 with 3 zeros. This one's kind of tricky to simplify, but you guys might divide by a bunch of different numbers, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you guys. I can actually divide top and bottom by 125. I don't really expect a lot of you guys to get that, but you guys might have divided by 5 and by 25 and over, but you should end up getting 5 over, let's see, 5 over 8. All right, D. So right here we're going to put 8 on top. And here, this little 0 here changes a lot of things. So it's 2 digits now, right? The 0 counts as a digit because it takes up a space. So it's 2 digits after the decimal. That means there should be 2 zeros in the denominator. Or you look at it, the 0 is the tens place, and the 8 is the hundreds place. So that's why you should put 8 over 100. Here I could divide both by 2, but you want to try to figure out what's the biggest number. This one you could divide top and bottom by 4. Get 2 over 25. And hopefully with that, I'm going to skip E for now. If you guys didn't do that, that'd be good practice for you guys. For number 2, is just convert each fraction or mixed number to a decimal using an equivalent fraction. So thinking about the video from yesterday on how we turn a fraction into a decimal. The easy way, the shortcut that it might not always work, but it works a lot of times, is you see if you could try to make your denominator look like this. It could either look like a 10, 100, 1,000, or even 10,000. If you could somehow do something to the 5 so it looks like one of these, you wouldn't do that. That one's easy though, right? 5 times 2 turns into a 10. Turns into that number right there. But remember, you multiply the bottom by 2, I can multiply the top by 2. So we 8 over 10. And here as a decimal, the denominator is 10, right? So it should end in the tenths place. And what number are you going to put? You're going to just put your numerator there. So we 0.8. Because again, since this has 1 0, that means there should be one number after the decimal. All right, number 2. So number 2 is, with that 40, it's kind of hard to turn into one of these. You could divide it by 4 to turn it into 10. Divide the 3 by 4 also, but then that gets a little complicated because 3 divided by 4 is going to get you a decimal. So if you're not sure on that, if you did that way, that's okay. I'm going to talk about the long division. I'll do it a little bit over here. Remember, the numerator goes on inside, the 3 goes there, denominator goes on outside. So 40 cannot go into 3, right? So you put a 0, make your decimal, add a 0. 40 cannot go into 30 either because 40 is bigger than 30, so you put another 0, and you have to add another 0. You ask yourself how many times 40 can go into 300. 40 times 7 is 280. If you did 40 times 8, that will get you 320, so that's too big, right? So here, right there, you subtract. You want to keep going until you have nothing. Until you have 0 down here. But we got 200, right? How many times does 40 go into 200? 40 times 5 will get you 200. If you're not sure on that, or you're a little confused on that, you can check with calculator. 40 times 5 will get you 200. And then you do 40 times 5, 200. You subtract it, you get 0. So you're done. So remember, if you're not confident on this way, you can always do the long division to get your correct answer. All right, C. So 200. C, can I make that 200 turn into one of these ones? What's the easiest thing you could do 200 to turn into either 10, 100, or 1,000? Can't you do 200 divided by 2? That turns it to 100, right? That means you could get it to 100. It's going to make the problem a lot easier. But I got to do 8 divided by 2 also will get me 4. All right. So then from here, remember, if the denominator is 10, 100, or 1,000, I don't got to do any long division. I could just put my decimal. Since it's 100, right, there's 2 zeros. You need to have 2 place values. So what I'm going to do, I can't just put the 4 like that. I got to add the extra 0 in front and then put the 4 like that. So it'll be 0.04. Remember, if you had 4, don't write this part down, but if you have 4 over 10, that would be 0.4. Right? Because if it's over 10, that means there's 1 place value. But if it's over 100, that means there's 2 place values. That's why 2 place values. That's when it should end in the hundreds place, or 2 numbers after the decimal. All right, I'm gonna do question D all the way up here. Right here, the 3, that's the whole number. You can kind of worry about that after. Let's just focus on the 5 over 16. The 16 is going to be kind of hard to turn into a 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000. So right there, I'm going to have to do long division once again. The numerator, the top number goes on inside. Bottom number goes on outside. This part, it's a little complicated. Might need to use a calculator a little bit for that. Okay, but 16 cannot go into 5. You put the 0, put a decimal, add a 0. How many times does 16 go into 50? You just check different numbers out. Let's try 3. So 16 times 3 is 48, right? That's really close. If you use a bigger number, if you do 16 times 4, you would go over. You put a 3 there. 16 times 3 is 48. Subtract it, you get 2. We'll make a 0, bring it down. 16 can only go into 20 once, because if you do 16 times 2, you'll go over 20, right? So you do 16 times 1 is 16. Subtract it, you get 4. Bring down is another 0. Right here, you see how many times can 16 go to 40? Look at what I did over here. 16 times 3 is 48, right? That's too big. So you have to use 16 times 2. 16 times 2 is 32. Subtract, you get 8. I get another 0, and this takes a long time. So you got 80. Let's try 16 times 5. 16 times 5 is 80 exactly. So there we go. So you put 5 up here. 16 times 5 is 80. Subtract, you get 0. So that's our final answer here. Or well, we get 0.3125, right? We'll end with a 0. Because when we divide it, 5 and 16, you get that number here. But we're not going to have a 0 in front. That's where that whole number, the 3, comes from, or should go. That whole number 3 will go before your decimal. All right, that's the whole number. Whole numbers go before the decimal. So here you're going to put 3 like that. So hopefully this clears it up for some of you guys. Now you guys are going to work on the some practice on in your Google Classroom. It's going to be on GoFormative probably. All right, that'll be it. You guys will hear from me tomorrow. Bye.